when you've got 300 people that need something from you
Mm-hmm.
24/7, like it's just not humanly possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so that like really hunkering down and like making that Discord like solid really helped me because I still work full time. I like take
Wild.
care of a disabled partner. I
Wow.
it's a lot. And so I was like, I got to get this organized. I mean, I even had to like take a couple days off at the salon. Like I had to
Mm-hmm.
like move clients around because I was like, this is
Wow.
so much and this is so important. And my clients, I
Mm-hmm.
live in Seattle. And so I think I took like 2 days off from the salon and I just literally sat at my computer for like 12 hours and like made the Discord. I did that
Mm-hmm.
for a couple days. And then everything was pretty much locked tight. And then it was just like a little under 2 weeks of just like helping people and answering questions and getting everything. Yeah, I don't honestly, it's kind of a fever dream.
Yeah, I bet. Do you even remember February? Like, that just sounds.
No,
No.
it's March.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Gamers Gab, the podcast by gamers for gamers. I'm Artsy from the Artsy Gamer. I make art, I play games, and I encourage others to do the same. And joining me today for an episode that I have been looking forward to for the past month because the girly to my whatever stage left, right, whatever, did an incredible thing by rallying nearly 300 content creators to raise over 100,000, now at $127,000 for trans right issues in collaboration to boycott the Hogwarts Legacy game. Is Valerie from Tutorial Babe over on Twitch. So, Valerie, before we get started with this incredible conversation, if you would, give us a sweet introduction of yourself and your pronouns, please, and thank you.
Thanks, Artsy. Hi, my name is Valerie or Totoro Babe. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a variety streamer over on Twitch. We do a lot of silly stuff over there. We play games, we do cosplays, we do charity stuff. I'm cosplaying as Guy Fieri tomorrow on stream. So, going to Flavortown. We're just silly. We do artsy stuff too sometimes. I do some crafting. We have fun over there. It's a good time. My main thing is focus on mental health and positivity and kindness and just a place for people to hang out and have community.
That's incredible. Yeah. Valerie, I remember the Hogwarts Legacy, because we're just going to get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation. Hogwarts Legacy is part of the Harry Potter franchise that was written by JK Rowling and has a wide range of things that people can enjoy from the franchise, from the original books to the movies to spin-off movies to theme parks to games and to now, most recently, Hogwarts Legacy. And one of the main issues that has surfaced within the last few years is JK Rowling's harmful rhetoric towards not only what it means to be a woman, the obsession over transgender people in general, and we started seeing the cracks of unfortunate, problematic viewpoints of marginalized people in general. And so a lot of our content creator friends had decided to not only boycott the game, but to rally and try to do something about it. And Valerie, you rose to the occasion and just created this thing just within a couple of weeks, it feels like. So before we get into like the whole designing of the fundraising aspect of this, which was incredible, what is your relationship with the Harry Potter franchise and JK Rowling as an author, if at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same age as Harry. So when the books came out, I'm his age. So I remember in school when the books came out, and there was definitely like a divide of people who were like Harry Potter people and people who weren't Harry Potter people. I would classify myself as a not Harry Potter person. I never read the books. I did watch the movies, but I was an adult when I watched them. So I did not, as a child, it wasn't like a childhood upbringing thing for me. I know a lot of people, it's like their childhood, and I don't have that. So for me, I think it's a little bit easier for me to distance myself because of that. I mean, I have friends with like full tattoo sleeves, Harry Potter themed. I mean, I have a lot of people in my life that Harry Potter has really, really meant a lot to them. But yeah, I didn't I didn't really care to read it or watch it growing up. I was actually what was introduced to me, and when I was like, whoa, this is like a very interesting world, was when I lived in Orlando for like a year and a half. And we went to the theme parks, of course, all the time. And that was like my first real introduction to Harry Potter, was going to the theme parks and seeing the Harry Potter world. And that's when I watched the movie. So it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I watched them.
That's okay. So this is a really great conversation because I was absolutely a Harry Potter person.
You were a Harry Potter kid.
And because my parents got divorced around the time that Harry Potter went out. And this is what I actually told people during the fundraisers, that, you know, I'm not on this pillar of moral superiority. Like, I had to come to terms with distancing myself and making that decision. Like, Harry Potter was, as you said, my childhood. I knew what house I went to, like what house I would have been part of. Like, I loved the world that it created. But then I don't know if you were on Twitter around the time that JK Rowling decided to start spouting her opinions, but I remember specifically that she was really butthurt about the term people who menstruate. Do you remember that?
She's so weird.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Like,
she's so weird.
I know, she's a billionaire.
Can she just like weird? I'm a weird person myself, but I'm like, girl, you got so much money. Like just
I know, right? Like just die in rich infamy, you know, but don't actually
like,
I'm not
the Hunger Games author.
Yeah.
They just like made a bunch of money and then like moved to a cabin in the woods and like never heard from them again.
Yeah, right. And so I remember reading that essay about how she was trying to link her reasoning of being hyperfixated on transgender women specifically, and the term people who menstruate, to her experience with not only domestic abuse, but sexual abuse. And obviously, I do not condone any form of abuse of any kind. And what happened to JK Rowling was awful, right? We're not going to say that, you know, she deserves that to happen to her. But for some reason, she has imprinted her trauma on including transgender women into the conversation of what it means to be a woman. And I literally was crying because of just what it's like watching a hero fall from grace. And I grew up, as you said, with Dan Radcliffe and Emma Watson and Rupert Grint, and just realizing that, wow, this is what happens when you realize that the adults in your life are not perfect, and sometimes you need to move away from it. So you were already like not really a Harry Potter person. Were you? I mean, I was about to say, were you planning on playing the game? You obviously were not. But at what point did you decide to go further than simply just like not playing the game? Because you're not a Harry Potter person, so it wouldn't have been interesting. But when did you decide to create this fundraising effort for the Trans Justice Funding Project?
Yeah, you know, I have a lot of trans people in my life. My spouse is non-binary. I have a lot of friends and family that are trans and non-binary. I'm a hairstylist in my day life. I own a hair salon. I have a lot of clients that are trans and non-binary. And hearing, I have a lot of followers on Twitch that are trans and non-binary. Like very close friends. And it just felt really, really close to home. Like it just felt like it was like getting closer and closer and closer. And I just kept hearing so many people talking about this. And I just felt like, this is silly. Like, I'm like, we have so many options of games to play. Like, so many. If, like, okay, there's a million hundred reasons to play or to not play a game. But if someone is saying, hey, this is like, it's hurting my feelings that you're playing this because the person that created this is actively against me and is hurting me and people like me and literally funding anti-trans things, like hello, like for me it was like no brainer. It's like I'm not going to be playing this game. And I just kept seeing more and more and more people online talking about it. Thankfully no one that's really close to me about wanting to play it. And I just thought, this is so silly. Like I was like, I don't want to play this game. Like I'm not going to play it, and most people that I know and love are also not going to play this game. But what can we do I've always tried to like spin things in a way that's going to be life-giving rather than life-taking, right? So like life-taking is taking away. Like it's like, oh, boo, you don't get to play this game that everybody really wants to play. It's like, okay, how can we make this life-giving? What's going to be life-giving in this moment? And for me, it was like, I have a platform. I've done lots of charity events. On my own, and other things I've done, we've raised over $25,000 as a community outside of this.
Wow.
And I've always loved doing charity. And I love doing charity streams. I just think it's so fun. People come out of the woodworks. And I mean, people who have lurked for a year in my Twitch community will all of a sudden be like, wow, like I'm so like, this is so great that you're doing this or whatever. And I just thought, you know what, like F it. Like I'm not going to play this game. And in fact, there's a lot of games that I could play that day. And why don't we raise money for some sort of trans rights organization? And so I reached out to a really good friend of mine who is trans. And she works at the Trans Justice Funding Project.
Awesome.
And I originally reached out to her being like, hey, like what nonprofit do you think that I should raise money for? Like, here are some options that I'm looking at. And she's like, yeah, these are great options. She's like, the Trans Justice Funding Project is a really great option too. And I was like, oh, duh. Like, duh. And she was like, but like, I totally vouch for these ones. Like, if you want to raise money for these ones, these are the ones that I think. And I was like, oh yeah. And so she kind of helped explain to me what the Trans Justice Funding Project does. And it just really aligned with where I was at, with it also being Black History Month. The Trans Justice Funding Project works specifically with BIPOC trans communities. And that to me, I was like, no brainer. Like it's all BIPOC and trans run, as well as that's who they're supporting. And I was like, no brainer. That's what I want to be doing. That's who I want to be supporting. I have a great contact with the organization. This is great. And so she helped me with that. And then I just like put it on Twitter. I was like, I like asked a couple of my like streamer friends. I'm like, oh, hey, like, would you like want to join me in doing this? And I put it on Twitter and like, the DMs. I mean, if I showed you my DMs, you would be like, how is that possible? People just were so excited about this. And originally I like made a Google Doc like quickly because I was like, this was all happening in like real time. And it was like 2 weeks, you know? And I was like, So I originally made like a big Google Doc with all the information. And as more and more people started joining, I was like, okay, I need this broken down so that it's like easier to find information. And so I started the Discord all on my own and started unplugging everything in. And then it was just like 100, 200, like it was just more and more people. And so I asked a few friends of mine, streamer friends, to help with moderating it. And they were amazingly helpful. I feel really, really blessed to have had them to help me. Fawn in Games, Violacious, and Hey Shady Lady were amazing at helping me with that, as well as Miss Mary TV, who just changed her username to Mary Dearest, who made the merch that I'm wearing right now. She's a great friend of mine, and she's a designer. And I was like, hey, would you want to donate your time and talent and create some merch for the event? And she was like, absolutely. And she created a whole really cool line. We've got like shirts and mugs and beanies. And
is it still live, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It'll be live for a few more weeks. I'll leave it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I still need to like get on that.
I think I want to order more.
I will have to say, Valerie, because I'm just such a small streamer, because for those who don't know, friends, I participated, and your level of organizing, like I literally just joined the Discord server and I followed what you input and I was done setting up within, I kid you not, 30 minutes. So all I really had to do was just follow along what you did, and it was professional levels of organizing. I'm not surprised that you have done charity work before, because it's very clear that your brain knows how to like explain things in ways that any person can just like, oh, what sort of what do I need to utilize, and tell people where can I link them, how, and it was amazing. So this was like immediate, like How did you plan this? Like, were you just like, did you take coffee and some gin and hope for the best? Like, what happened?
I don't do caffeine and I don't do alcohol, but I do be taking my ADHD medication, so that be helping. But yeah, I really love helping people. Like, I really do. And I'm very new to the streaming world in general. I mean, I've been streaming now for almost 2 years, but I had never even been on Twitch. Like, I signed up like the day that I started streaming. And when I tell you, I was streaming from my MacBook with a 10-year-old capture card and a dream. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything. And like, I would just, first of all, I started streaming. I mean, I don't know how deep you want to go. I was born in Seattle, Washington. No, I'm just kidding. But like, I was really depressed when I started streaming, which I think a lot of people start streaming because they're lonely, they're depressed, like whatever it is. They're
call me out, Valerie. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah. You know, I'm just calling it like I see it, you know? And I don't really talk about it a lot on my stream, just trigger warning medical stuff. But I had to have full abdominal muscle reconstructive surgery.
Wow.
And it required me to be on bed rest for a year because it was a series of 3 surgeries. And I had just had my first surgery and I was so depressed. I'm such a social person. I was like, I can't sit here and do nothing for a year. I'm a very busy person. I own a hair salon. I'm very active. I disabled partner that I take care of. Like, I'm busy. And so I moved back in with my parents in my 30s. I had to like, it was rough. It was really rough. And I was like, maybe there are other depressed people on the internet that want to hang out with me. And you know what? It turns out there's a lot of depressed people on the internet that also want to hang out with me. So I started streaming. I just learned everything on my own, which is really funny. Hey, Shady Lady, who was one of the moderators who helped me, she has like a YouTube channel, like helping people learn to stream. And I watched her YouTube video. Like back in the day, and she was just being really helpful in the Discord already. And so I was like, do you want to help me? And I was like, also, it's like kind of funny because you taught me how to stream. But yeah, I just love that. And when I decided I wanted to do charity events, I do one every Pride Month.
Awesome.
It's super great. I have like a pride flag that both years I've like filled up the flag, and it's just been really great. Learning how to do all of that, I just grassrooted it myself. I Google, YouTube, Reddit. I mean, it's all out there. And if you want to spend the time, I'm sure you know, as a streamer, there's a lot of information out there. If you want to spend the time, like, you can get down and you can figure anything out. If I feel like there is enough on the internet, if you spend enough time, you can figure out anything.
And
that's what I've always done. That's what I've always done. And I don't like to rely on other people for help. I like to help myself. But I know not everyone is that way. I know that a lot of people don't have maybe the internet savvy to figure that stuff out, or the time, or the bandwidth, or the mental capacity, whatever it is. And when I started this, I was like, okay, a lot of these streamers that are joining are baby streamers or new streamers, or have never done a charity event before, don't know what it means to be a part of this. And I was like, okay, this is a hot topic. There's going to be a lot of people around this. And if I'm going to be fronting this, I need to set these people up for success. Like, I don't want to be like, yeah, everybody come join me and do this. And then nobody knows what the F they're doing. And nobody knows how to answer questions. Like, I wanted people to be like, okay, someone's going to ask me this question. I have a prepared answer. A troll is going to come in and do this. This is how I'm going to fix my safety settings. I need to make sure my moderators know X, Y, Z. I need to make sure that I know how to change things while I'm live. Like, all of these things, I wanted everybody to be set up for success. So for me, it was like, okay, I don't want to give too much information that I'm overwhelming people, but I want to break it down. And so I think, you know, you obviously were in the Discord. Setting up all of those channels with the checklists of every, like, this is what you should do this is how you do that. Really also helped with a lot of people. Sometimes they don't take the time to read things. So they come in and they're like, hey, what's this? And I'm like, oh, the Discord made it really easy because then I could tag different channels and be like, hey, your answer is right here. so that I don't have to keep answering over and over
Yeah.
again. When you've got 300 people that need something from you 24/7, like it's just not humanly possible. And so that like really hunkering down and like making that Discord like solid really helped me, because I still work full time. I like take care of a disabled partner. I like it's a lot. And so I was like, I got to get this organized. I mean, I even had to like take a couple days off at the salon. Like I had to like move clients around, because I was like, this is so much and this is so important. And my clients, I live in Seattle. My clients are super liberal. They all got it. The second I was like, hey, I'm doing this, they were like, great, take a couple days off. We'll be here. And so I think I took like 2 days off from the salon, and I just literally sat at my computer for like 12 hours and like made the Discord. I did that for a couple days, and then everything was pretty much locked tight. And then it was just like a little under 2 weeks of just like helping people and answering questions and getting everything. Yeah, it was, I don't, honestly, it's kind of a fever dream.
Yeah, I bet. Do you even remember February? Like, that just sounds, no?
It's March? Like what?
I know, like when did March happen? I know.
It's wild. But yeah, it was so great. And like, I'm so proud of the internet that this many people were like, hell yeah. Like, I'm joining this and I'm doing this. And I mean, there were a lot of streamers on there that were like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. And that was like bold and courageous on their part as well. And I'm really glad that I was able to help with that, as well as like, it's like a ripple effect. I'm not religious, but you know, the whole like, what is it? What did the guy in the cloud say? He said something about like giving a man a fish versus teaching a man to fish or something like that. I think it's biblical. I don't know. I don't do that. But if you do, that's fine. I'm not going to yuck your yum. But it's like, okay, sure, I can just like give you this and like I could just set it all up for you, or I can like lay it out and teach you how to do it. So that in 3 months, when you want to do a charity stream because your aunt got breast cancer and you want to raise money for breast cancer awareness, great. Now you have the tools and you know step by step how to do it. And you have the confidence, you have the understanding, you have the technical skills. And that is like, it's a ripple effect. Like it's not just this one event. It's like many, many events to come.
For sure. I mean, I will tell you that I think one of the biggest things about being a small content creator, because at the point of this recording, I have 2,250 on the YouTubes, which is incredible for me. And in the sense that, you know, there's no such thing as too small a content creator to make an effect. Like the worst thing that you can be told is no, right? Like, learn to accept rejection, friends, because you can do a charity stream for 1,000 subscribers with Tiltify. You don't need to wait until 10,000 subscribers on YouTube in order to make a difference. And so I think that the way that you approached your fundraising for this was, as you said, it really inspired and allowed for people to feel like, oh, wow, I can actually do something and make an impact and let people know how loved and cherished they are. So that's the technical aspect of the fundraising. Let's talk about the people aspect of it with 300 people.
Like some of those streamers like had 100 followers that did it. Like literally some of them were just such baby little streamers. And I'm like, you're doing it. You're doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me like emotional. I'm like a lot of people that reached out to me were like, I'm a really small streamer. I don't know if you want me. And I said yes to everybody. My thing was like, I need you to be a Twitch affiliate because I need you to like know, or Twitter, like, or YouTube. Like I need you to know how Twitch works.
Yeah.
But like to be a Twitch affiliate, you only need 50 followers and an average of 3 viewers. Like I was like, cool, if you want to do this, even if you don't raise any money at all and you just raise awareness, that's great.
Yeah. For sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's okay. Like, that's really important too. Yeah, it really is. So friends, like you don't need to have the numbers of subscribers of faceless people to like your work. So as long as you give a crap about what you're doing, but having to rally nearly 300 people and trying to create a narrative that encompasses so many people with so many feelings, because I don't want to shame the person who brought this up, and you had deleted their message on Discord. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but there was somebody who was like, maybe we should go to the people who are streaming Hogwarts Legacy and give them a piece of our mind. And you were like, that's not what we're about. So how did you define the narrative to not even include Hogwarts Legacy? Like, unless
I didn't even use the word.
Yeah, you used the bigoted wizard game.
I was like, the wizard game, like the bigoted wizard game. Like, we don't need it. We don't even need to say the name.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not. It's irrelevant. Come on, like, we don't need that. Keeping the narrative. Having good talking points, I think really laying it out for people was really good. I offered several. I was like, hey, I'm going to be in the Discord these hours. If anybody wants to jump on, talk to me, ask me any questions, being available for people was important, I think, in that way. I do remember that person that did that. There were a few like that that came up.
Wow.
Of people wanting to like go and like somebody posted like a list of spoilers for the game and was like, let's go drop these spoilers in other people's chats that are playing the game. And I was like, that's not helping anything. Like, when they go low, we go high. My mom is the wisest person I know, and it's her birthday. Shout out, happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
I know, I just got her some carrot cake. She's enjoying it. What was I going to say about that? She always said to me, what Susie says about Sally says a lot more about Susie than it does about Sally.
Nice.
And that always really stuck with me as a kid. Like, sometimes being quiet is so much more powerful than being loud.
Yeah.
Be loud in your space about the things you want to be loud about, but don't go into somebody else's space and be loud. Like, that's really not going to help anything. What I want to do, and what I encourage this group of people to do, was to lead by example and to say, hey, I don't stand for that. This is what I do stand for. Here are some other cool games you can play. Here's a way that we can raise money for a great organization and help BIPOC trans people. And just really staying positive on that was really important to me. Anytime myself or the moderator saw anything like that, we immediately deleted it and put out a memo being like, hey guys, that's not what we're going to do here. If you want to do that, you can go do that, but you're not going to be a part of Gamers for Trans Rights then, because that's not what we stand for. We're standing together for trans people and to support and love them. And that was a really important narrative for me to keep. And honestly, I like, once we established that, I felt like people were really respectful of that. I mean, obviously I don't know what all 300 people were doing. But I watched that Discord like a hawk, and I went into a lot of the streamers' streams and stopped in and checked in, and everybody was, for the most part, being really positive. And it was like overwhelmingly positive. I
mean, I know that for me, I like to put the name of things because I don't want to create a boogeyman. That was my decision, where I was like, I need to explain to you why JK Rowling needs to not have that platform anymore, why we need to make Harry Potter not profitable anymore. Because she is still alive and still actively causing harm. The fact that, what I didn't realize until I think EJ from EJ Plays pointed out, it's like, her I know, I love EJ too. Her male pseudonym is based off of the guy who created conversion therapy. And it's like, you can't there's no step away from that. I don't know if she was trying to be quirky or whatever, but that's not funny. So the fact that
conversion therapy is so
awful.
It's so F.
I know. Like, imagine being obsessed with somebody else's genitalia. Imagine, it's...
I was just talking with one of my clients who is trans, and he is wonderful. And I have had the liberty, I've been doing hair for 13 years. I had the liberty of doing his hair when he was a teenager, when he made that decision.
Awesome.
And I was one of the, it like makes me emotional, but I was one of the first people he came out to. And I actually cut all of his hair off before he fully came out as trans. And I remember when he wanted to cut his hair short, and I remember so distinctly, he was a freshman in high school, And he said, I'm so worried about what other people are going to think. And I said, F them. If they have anything to say, they're not somebody you want in your life. Like, screw it. Screw them. You'd be you and be fiercely you and unapologetically you and walk with your head held high. And then what are they going to say? Like, they're like, what do they have to say? Like, nothing. And it was I remember that conversation so clearly with my client. And it was a few months later that he came out as trans, and it was actually really cute because he has like a really supportive mom, and his mom stopped by my salon like maybe a week before his hair appointment and was like, hey, so he's really excited to see you for appointment. He's made a lot of changes over the summer and he's really excited to talk to you about it. And I was like, great. I look forward to it, but I was like, she made it like
the eyebrows
overwhelmingly like, I want you to know what's going on, And they had a really great conversation with me about it. And, they were in high school and it was between freshman and sophomore year. And I remember how delicate it was. And, he's now like 20 and like is living his best life. And I'm so proud of him. And I still do his hair to this day. And like, we kind of chuckle looking back on those years ago. And like, he's just doing so well and so confident. And I can't remember why I started talking about this.
It's okay. We were talking about
JK Rowling.
Yeah,
and the conversion camps. That's where we were. And then I got talking about that. And this is why I got there, because I was speaking with my client about this. It's full circle. It's happening. We're getting back there.
I'm like this too. Cyclical explanations. It's how we roll in the Artsy Gamer. Absolutely.
We're getting back to the point. He was like, it's so interesting. He was like, people don't ask you about your genitals until they know you're trans. And then it's like, free game, whatever question you want to ask about the genitals, we feel entitled to ask. And he's like, it's so weird. Like, in my pre-trans life, nobody asked about my genitals. And now all of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, I'm going to just like, what do you got going on in your pants? What are you doing up here? What's going? It's like, whoa, like as a cis woman, like, I can't imagine someone asking very personal questions about my genitals that does not know me. Yeah. And like the fact that people are like obsessed with that right now, government officials are like, I could go on and on and on about what's going on in the US.
Girl, like, I know.
It's bad. And I'm like, why are we so why is everyone obsessed with what people's genitals are? Why does it matter? Just like love people. It's really not that hard. Yeah, it's so not that hard.
Modern day feminism, I think, is trying to confront a lot of I don't know if you have like these like aha moments at like late at night where it's like really deep and you can't sleep. Yeah. So it's like, wow.
I don't sleep.
Yeah, okay. Like being a person with a uterus is generational trauma because of all the things that our mothers went through and our grandmothers went through, because we don't have these conversations to support all of our walks of life. We are shamed and sexualized at puberty. We are shamed and sexualized when we decide to become parents. We are shamed and not considered sexual anymore when we hit menopause. And then we become rendered useless, cranky old women that have no value because, we are not popping out babies. And so I think one issue that I have with the old, feminism model and what progressive feminists are trying to say is that your trauma is still valid. We still need spaces for transgender people to express what's happened to them because it's also generational trauma, know? And
100%.
And so it must have been really hard, and this is where I go full circle. It must have been so hard to rally over 300 people who are trying to come to terms with a lot of things. They may be trans themselves. They may have trans friends.
Through their own loss
of Harry Potter.
Of something that they loved so dearly, you know? And I will not call this person out, but I had one person who was DMing with me about wanting to, and they joined the Discord and everything, wanting to be in this. And then they messaged me saying that they were going to pirate the game and play it privately because they, quote, felt that it would heal their inner child. And I said, respectfully, I'm going to remove you from this because if that's how you feel, like, I don't want you a part of this. Like, the whole point of this is we are not going to be a part of this. And I can't have someone who's like, well, I'm still going to play the game, but you guys should donate. Like, that's not okay with me. And so I was like really careful about the conversation around that. If I heard anybody saying they were going to be playing it in private, it was like, you got to go. Like, if you're not fully with us, then I need you to be fully out. Like, it's not a half in, half out. It's not a like, oh, I'm going to look really good being a part of this, but then in private, I'm going to do whatever I want.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's key to me. Personally. So yeah, I guess on that, back to what you were saying about like being a person with a uterus, being someone who we are sexualized young and then not sexualized and all this stuff. Like, I was just talking today about, like, I was one of the first people to, like, of my like friend group in my like class to like need to wear a bra.
Yep.
And I was talking with one of my clients today because her daughter is at the age where she kind of maybe needs to start wearing a bra. And I remember being humiliated. I remember sobbing and crying in the dressing room because I had to pick out a bra. It just seemed like this big thing. And it's like, maybe we just need to normalize those conversations. Like, you're going to get boobs, you're going to get a period. Like, let's talk about it. And not that my mom didn't do those things. She did. I think society in general, it was like, oh, I'm this is happening to me and it's this thing. And I can't imagine being a cis woman, like, dealing with those things while also feeling your internal struggle of your own gender identity and like the complicatedness. And that's like, we're even more when we go back to the JK Rowling thing about people who menstruate. It's like, imagine being a teenager and knowing yourself and feeling yourself, and maybe you have come out, maybe you've come out to a few people, maybe it's something in private you've only thought about transitioning, and also dealing with like getting boobs and having a period. Like, there's just so many layers to that it's like, okay, this person is upset about using the term people with uteruses or people who menstruate. But it's like, imagine being the person who's menstruating, who does not identify as a woman.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how much more complicated that is and how emotional that is and the trauma of that. Like, there's just so many layers and insensitivities to that really, when we go back to what you were saying about JK Rowling in the beginning, really stuck with me as a person who felt my own shame. And I assume other people who have uteruses who've gone through that, I think a lot of us felt shame. It's like carrying your tampon to the bathroom in school
and hiding your pad like it was like a secret manila folder. Yeah.
Like, this is my secret thing that no one can know about. God forbid someone know I'm on my period. Like, imagine going through that and being trans. Like, imagine how much more terrible. I thought I had to hide my tampon. Imagine how they felt. Yeah. And
we just put a lot of emphasis of biological functions over what it means to have a biological sex. And sure, like, the uterus is a biological female thing as we define it. And scientifically, a lot of the medical science that is known to biological female processes are on the basis of men, which is ridiculous. So we already
very interesting.
It's scary because then it's like we make such a big deal out of something and then we don't understand it or it's shamed. And do you read comics by any chance? I'm a comics person. No?
Not much.
Well,
I like to hear about it.
So I am an avid reader of a web comic called Oh Joy Sex Toy, which has been going on since 2012 by Erica Moen and Matthew Noland, who originally were doing reviews in comic form of sex toys and normalizing sex positivity that way, but then started sharing other people's comics on all forms of like what it means to be a sexual person with disabilities, being trans, how to wear a binder correctly, how to wear a packer. I did a comic on what it meant to be intimate after a miscarriage. So it's like I always am looking for, as you said, including things instead of taking it away. So if you are a person, a young person in particular, who likes comics, I highly recommend Let's Talk About It by Erica Moen and Matthew Noland. It is a sex positive comic book that talks about sex positivity as being a teen.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. Cool. It's available on Amazon, and it is so worth it. It's incredible. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I think
I think that's really important too. Like, I mean, not to get like too personal, but like I am a cis woman, and my partner is non-binary, but we are a very straight passing couple.
Same.
I'm very queer and they are very queer. But like we've been together for 10 years this year, and in the 10 years that we've been together, oh my gosh, twins.
Twinsies.
Like I have known how they have felt intimately about what happens behind closed doors. Sure. And so it wasn't a surprise to me when they came out as non-binary. And I think that is not spoken about, like the sex positivity in that, of what it means to be non-binary or have one set of genitals that maybe you don't identify with. And maybe we use different verbiage for different genitals and like having those open conversations. And that was, I mean, I have been with all sorts of people, and that was new to me. That was new to me, being with a partner that it was like, okay, we're going to have conversations on what we call things. And like, that sounds like right up the street with the comic you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Like those are conversations we should normalize. And for me, I'm like, man, why weren't those normalized in prior relationships? Like maybe I was using verbiage and terms for things that were not what they felt. And I mean, obviously I'm married and I'm with my partner, but if something ever happened and I was ever with other partners in my life, that is something is like number one. It's like, hey, have you been tested? Protection. Also, hey, let's talk about verbiage. Like I've always talked about like, sorry, I know this is like PG-13, so I don't want to get like too.
You can. Okay. I'll put a content warning just in case.
Okay, cool. Like I like talking about consent, talking about safety, all of those things, but like verbiage, I never really thought like verbiage is something that I should have consent with my partner. And my partner and I are very open with each other in all of those ways. And it just falls under that category as well of shame, right? Like my partner hadn't felt safe before in relationships to talk about those things. And being together and talking about verbiage around what we call things and what we call each other and how we handle things, those are important things to talk about. And I'm honored that they we've been there for a long time, that they want to talk to me about those things and that we can have those conversations. And that is part of consent. Like verbiage, naming things is part of consent. And I think that the younger generation, like Gen Z, they have a better, I'm a millennial. They are much more with that and talking about that. But I think that that's still a new thing for millennials and older. That verbiage is still very, very new.
Do you, if it's okay for me to cut in. So let's talk about that verbiage with game customization, right? So one thing,
I can talk about this all day. I know, with my partner,
right? So I've had two content creators who
I'm
are
loving this.
I know
This is great.
Yeah, we have two content creators who are on Gamers Gab who are BIPOC, right? One who is a Gen X and one who is, I think, a little bit younger than we are. And the concept of how having representation in gaming and in media in general, that it looks like you, that, you know, that it's like you can immerse yourself into a game, is something that I think a lot of white cishet people take for granted, because 100%. We're able to like throw caution, like we can just like look to the left and we can see a role model that, you know, looks like us, right? But that's really hard with BIPOC people, and that's really hard with LGBTQIA plus people. And one thing about Hogwarts Legacy is that when people were starting to be like, don't get this game, there was like, oh, well, you have this customization where you can be, you know, whatever gender representation.
Trans character.
Oh my God, Serona. Like, can we talk about the fact that like trans people know how to name themselves in the best way, and Serona is so lazy, like lazy, right?
That was just like throwing a cookie. You know what I mean? The game customization thing. Okay, let's talk about that. So I find it so important.
Yes, I agree.
I love Fortnite. I don't know if you ever play Fortnite.
No, I've seen it.
It's a fun game. My partner, my spouse, loves Fortnite, and one thing they really like about Fortnite is they can be whoever they want to be. And I think that is really important. And Fortnite has so many different types of skins you can wear, of all different. It's not the same as like customization, right? Like when I make my Animal Crossing character, I choose my skin color and my hair texture and like all that stuff. But like Fortnite, you're buying like a full skin, right? And they gravitate towards gender neutral, and they have tons of them on their skins. And because they are disabled, they are not able to maybe do as many outwardly changes to themselves that they would like to do just because of their disability, that they are able to express themselves in video games with. And that to me is like the most beautiful thing, that you can escape into this world that you maybe want to look like. Maybe you're not able to be as feminine presenting, but you want to be. And to be able to play a video game where you can be that is so cool to me. And like The Sims just came out with binders to be able to wear for the characters. I don't know if you saw that.
No, that's amazing.
It was a couple weeks ago. They added binders on there, and I was like, hell yeah, Sims. Like that. They also added like diabetes gauges as well, so you can wear like the monitors and stuff. And I was like, okay, here we go, disability and gender, like this is great. Like I love The Sims is so great. But I was like, that is amazing. They also added pronouns. They added so many good things in Sims in the last year. But yeah, I was like, the fact that Sims, which has been a game that has been around as long as gaming has been around, that they were like, hey, like we realize this is important and we're going to add binders into the game.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. And I think character customization is so important in that way, that like my spouse creates Sims all the time. They love to create Sims, and they're able to really customize them. And I think there's something really beautiful about the options with Sims where it's not necessarily gender. It's like, can they get pregnant or not?
Or if they pee sitting up or standing up or sitting down, which I was like, that's so easy. And I think what's really sad, I celebrate any game that does customization that way. And, you know, if Harry Potter or Hogwarts Legacy was not tied to somebody who is actively causing harm with the transgender community, I would not be critical of the fact that they had that customization. But we're getting to the point where that sort of level of character customization should be the standard, the dev standard for any game, because it's like, you know, if you like money, you should be able to support people who want to see themselves as various like weight fluctuations, ages, hair types, hair textures, eye colors, disabilities, gender representation, whatever. And so I think what's really sad is Hogwarts Legacy, the devs behind it kind of panicked because they knew that this was not going to go well for them, unfortunately. And they grasped at straws. So how did you feel about, because you did the eye roll, so I already know how you felt about Serona as a transgender character, but
yeah,
where does the line draw between, you know, celebrating the fact that there's a game like The Sims or like one of my new favorite games, Coral Island, where customization is very, you know, it's a good one. How did you feel about the customization efforts from Hogwarts Legacy? I haven't played the game and you haven't either, but what were your views on that?
I haven't even really watched gameplay of it.
Neither have I.
Anyone that came up on my feed that was playing it, I instantly unfollowed. Yeah. How do I feel about that? I don't have a lot of feelings about it, if I'm honest.
That's fair.
I feel it's interesting. I was interviewed by NBC for it was great. They did a little written article and then they did like two live things, and the interviewer, the reporter, great human, they spoke about that. She spoke about that on the live recording of it, and I just feel like it's like, this is so bad to say, but like it's just irrelevant to me. Like I'm like, first of all, the devs have already been paid. Like they got their paycheck. They're good. I don't feel bad for them. They got their bag. You know what I mean? Yeah, I really don't have a lot of opinions about it, to be honest.
That's fair, because I like to I don't want to say I like to be fair, but I want to be aware of the fact that, you know, where I'm celebrating customization for, you know, Coral Island, where the majority of the people who are represented in the game are BIPOC, or at least from what I view as BIPOC. And, you know, the customization is really great, but, you know, where do we draw the line with, you know, celebrating the customization efforts, like with The Sims, where they introduce binders and, you know, disabilities, to the standard, or to being critical to a game that's kind of linked to, unfortunately, you know, hate rhetoric. So I always like to be very clear of like, where do I draw the line, so that I'm not like being hypocritical. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think about games like Calico. I don't know if you played Calico. It's they're so great. I love them. They gave me like 15 copies of the game to give away during the charity event, because they were like, yes, take all these copies. They're great. I love them. Their customization is great. I mean, it's an indie game, so it's got its quirks. But I mean, down to skin color, body size, the way they walk, like the way they stim, like you can literally have your character stim, which I just think is so cool.
That's adorable.
But Calico is a really fun game where you live in a magical world and you run a cat cafe and you do little things in the town. But the representation in that game is phenomenal to me. There's a non-binary character. There's a lesbian couple that is also an interracial couple. There is a character who wears a hijab. There is a character who uses he, him pronouns, but wears dresses. They use pronouns for the characters interchangeably. That to me, I'm like, this is like so cool that they're including this in games. Like that wasn't a thing when I was a kid.
Right.
Not at all. It was a white toxic straight man's world. I feel really happy that there are so many cool games and creators that are paying attention to that. I reached out to several games that either featured queer creators or queer characters, or were queer themselves, magical things like that. I reached out to a bunch of game creators, and I ended up getting like 100 game codes.
Yeah,
from
I saw
these
that.
amazing. I mean, it was amazing. Shout out to like Whitethorn Games. They're amazing. I mean, I can't even list them all. There's so many.
I'll find it on the Discord and I'll list the ones. Don't worry about it. I got you.
There was like so many games. But it was just like really cool to see that. And I was like, hey, I'm going to give away some of these copies to like the gamers that are a part of this, as well as like the donators. And it was really cool to see people be like, oh, I didn't know about these games. Like, these games are magical, where I can be a magical person in a magical world. And hey, it also has queer representation. Hey, it also has BIPOC representation. Like, oh, this was made by a BIPOC queer person. Like, that to me is really beautiful. And I really tried to make the focus more about that.
Have you played Spiritfarer? There's not customization because you play Stella, but
yeah,
I have to say,
watched it.
Oh my gosh, like I
don't know if you know Sparksby, but I watched my friend Sparksby play that game on Twitch, like the full thing through.
Oh my god, and, did you cry ugly tears? Like,
I mean, I just like watched her play it, but it was like, it was beautiful.
It truly is.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, and I think what like this generation and genre of gaming and gamers is adding to is that we are confronting a lot of the toxic caricaturization and stereotyping of marginalized voices. One of my favorite terms that I've been using more, thanks to Gia Kimchi and Soy Milk. I don't know if you know Chi-Chi, but the term multiply marginalized. And so it's like, I am always trying to find more games that include and celebrate those voices that has nothing to do with my reality, because that's how you grow as a person. And that is something that I've really come to love as a gamer now, is we're starting to see that JK Rowling's rhetoric is irrelevant, and we're starting to see the cracks about how we have caricaturized and stereotyped Jewish people, how we've stereotyped I did not realize that the shofar was turned into and rendered a goblin, an artifact. Thank you. Like that to me, like I was already not wanting to play the game because of the transgender, hate towards, but I worked at a Jewish community center. I'm married to somebody whose mother side of the family is entirely Jewish. I cannot do that. And I know that we live in a world that's becoming significantly more globalized, and so a lot of the stereotypes and caricaturizations are very culturally nuanced. But that is where I think the gaming, like sharing these stories, allows us to confront the toxic things that we thought were just reality. Wow. Just wow.
Yeah, and I think too, in that same breath of that conversation, normalizing marginalized communities too. Like, I feel like so often in TV shows and movies and video games, it's like, oh, this person is Black, and this is how hard everything has been because they're Black. Or this person's in a wheelchair, and this is how hard everything is because they're in a wheelchair. Or this person is queer, and they have to overcome everything because they're queer. It's like, why can't these people, like these characters, these people, just be in TV shows and movies and video games and just exist? Yeah. Why does their plot have to be about their trauma? And like I take the show Schitt's Creek for an example. The character David, he is never made fun of for being gay. He's made fun of for a lot of things because you could make fun of him, but it would have been so easy to put some gay jokes in there. And they never did that. He was just gay. He wasn't a bad person because he was gay. He was kind of just a bad person. He wasn't like a silly person because he was gay. He was just a silly person. And it was like just accepted that he was a gay character. And I so appreciated that representation, because so often when there's a gay character, it's like, let's really dig into like how they overcame their trauma to who they are today, which I don't want to diminish that. That's great. We should be talking about that. But like, also like, let's just see queer people. Let's just see disabled people. Let's see people of color, BIPOC people, just existing.
Well, it also removes the ability for them to be flawed. Like a person who is queer or disabled or whatever has bad days, or sometimes like one person's not the greatest because just
they can also be shitty people.
They can also be shitty. Yeah. Exactly. And so it's like these games which normalize us seeing the world as it is means that we are giving marginalized voices the permission to be people. And that's the main issue that I think that I have with JK Rowling, is that the continuation of the Harry Potter franchise is removing the allowance for people to be people and causing harm because of that. And it just really, it still just like breaks my heart. Like, I know she's a billionaire and she probably wipes her tears on dollar bills or pounds or whatever the hell they use in England these days. But like, it breaks my heart. And I do want to add some hope that I hope that JK Rowling has this moment of like clarification, like this aha moment of like, wow, I've caused a lot of harm. And I hope that she can find a way to find healing from what she's been through and then stop hurting others. That's what I hope, truly. So,
I mean, it's a weird hill to die on.
I know.
But like, at least she's dead. You know what I mean? Like, a very weird hill to die on.
Truly. It really does break my heart. But let's go back to the fundraiser specifically. So you, as I said, you rallied almost 300 content creators from all walks of life and are, as of now, at over $127,000 from the original $10,000 goal. I don't think I mentioned that earlier, but I remember.
Wasn't that wild? And we had $100,000 in 24 hours.
Yeah, when you were on the stream, right? Because you were just like.
We hit 50,000 when I was on stream.
Wow.
And then it was almost exactly midnight when we hit 100,000. And one of my really sweet friends, Big Mommy Alexa, she's a streamer. I was like watching their stream because they were doing like horoscope stuff.
Nice.
They were doing like tarot card reading for people who were donating.
Oh.
And all of a sudden we hit 100,000 live. Well, she was live and I was watching and I was like working on stuff because it was midnight, you know? And I had work the next day.
Of course you did.
Of course I did, because I do everything. I don't know why. They immediately called me and like I jumped onto their stream and it's really sweet. I have like a little video.
I saw it.
One of my lovely moderators edited that for me. And like having that moment, I'm like a little emotional. Like I was like shocked that we hit 100,000 in 24 hours. Like that was wild to me. I never imagined that. I never imagined that.
So what were
I was like 10K would be so cool,
I
right?
know. Yeah, for reals. And what was your reflection like after like the ball dropped and you have like this pile of cash to like give to your friend at the Trans Justice Funding Project? Like what was the reflection that you just sat with? Because as you said, February was a fever dream. It's March now. Like
literally don't remember. I think I started that. I think it was like February 1st, maybe like the last week of January. Like it literally was like so wild. My reflection on that, I was like, this is so cool. Like I was like, I'm so proud of all of these people. I'm so proud of all these streamers. I'm so proud of all the viewers and the donators. I'm so proud of everyone using their creative space, their talent, their time to do this. The fact that many people wanted to do that was so cool to me. And like I have tried really hard this whole time to really flip it back to being about all the people, because I'm just one person and sure I like organized this and did do a lot of work on it. Like it wasn't me, like it was everyone. It was everyone working together. And to me, that's a lot of people that wanted to be involved in something. And like, it was just really beautiful. It was just, I felt really emotional and I like cried, and I'm not like a big crier. So that was like interesting. And I just felt really proud of everyone. I just have like an immense gratitude and pride towards the people who are involved, and just really cool.
Well, I have to say, Valerie, if you ever decide to get into fundraising as like your big kid job, I mean, like I think that you could take over Washington with your abilities to like create a spreadsheet and like no, I'm serious, because I was like I was really glad to hear that you had done charity work, because I'm just like, you must have had like a call from non-denominational Jesus being like, trans people need me, and just like in like creative things just like burst through your fingertips and your beautiful hair.
Thank you. I do think my superpower is like hyper focusing. So when I get something in my brain, and I think that's part of my ADHD, like this is silly, but like when I'm interested in something and I'm involved in something and I put my whole ass in it, I put my whole ass in it. Like I will spend every waking moment getting it right. And it's really cool because Tiltify, who we raised the money through. So actually, the money did not go into my bank account, and I want to make that very clear.
Oh yeah.
No money. Well, actually, that's a lie because the merch money went into my bank account, but I've been depositing it in as it's been coming. Yeah. And this is not a tax write-off for me. I got a lot. You'd be surprised some of the shitty DMs the not so nice DMs that I received from people saying I was doing this for a tax write-off. People say that I was doing this for clout. I'm like, girl, do you know how many hours I've spent on this?
Wow.
It would have been a lot easier to do other things for clout. Like, no, baby. Strangely, I had a few trans people in my DMs that were saying not very nice things. And it's like, I'm doing my best. I'm one person. Like, I don't know. Like, I think because it blew up so quickly, people thought I was like, like this is my job. But I'm like, girl, I got 10 jobs. Like that's not how it is. But Tiltify, who if anybody is wanting to do any sort of fundraising through streaming, Tiltify is an amazing organization. That they're very transparent about their money. I know there's been some hot topics around some other organizations that I would recommend not working with them. But Tiltify is very honest, very open. I've talked with the CEO in great length. He is wonderful. Nice. Michael, one of their wonderful employees at Tiltify, Ash, came in and said, how can I help? I'm a streamer and I want to help. And I've worked at Tiltify for quite a while. How can I help? She came into the Discord and she was like, Valerie, she was like, this is serious. She was like, you should be very proud. You put in a lot of work. And I was like, I had to. Like, it was happening so quickly. Like, I had to. I had so many people, like, literally, it's just like pages and pages and pages and pages of DMs. Like, I was like, I can't. So I just put everybody in the Discord and I was like, here's where we can get it together. I do not have a passion to do that full time. I think it would destroy me.
It's soul sucking.
I think it would destroy me. Yeah. I'm happy to do it when there's a great cause, and I will definitely be doing something during Pride Month for the Trevor Project. I love the Trevor Project. They are amazing. Thankfully I've been able to speak to them directly. They're a wonderful organization. I was supposed to have dinner with them at TwitchCon, but I ended up not going just because safety precautions, which good thing I didn't, because everybody I know that TwitchCon got COVID. I just love the Trevor Project. They're an amazing, amazing nonprofit that helps queer youth. They have a 24-hour suicide prevention hotline. They are trying to help end conversion camps. They help with getting resources, therapy, whatever queer youth need. I love the Trevor Project. I'm very passionate about that. So I'll definitely be doing something in June with the Trevor Project as well. Last June, Twitch had invited me to be on the front page for Pride Month, which was really great. I was on the front page for the whole month of June, and I was on the carousel, like right on the top for a week. And that's when I did my charity event. I was like, F it. Like, if I'm going to be on the Twitch front page, you bet I'm going to be doing some charity while I'm here, because I'm going to have the most eyes on me that I've ever had. I mean, I had 87,000 people in my chat. And I was like, yeah, this is when I should be raising money for queer youth. Like this right now. There's a lot of cool things you can be doing with your time during that. But for me, it was like, I'm going to use it to raise money for a really great organization that I believe in.
Are you going to, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Are you going to be able to, are you basically just going to copy paste what you did for the Gamers for Trans Rights to Pride? Because
if I have it in me, I would love to. I mean, it's only March and I'm already like, okay, I got to start thinking about that, which is wild. Tentatively, yes. I would love to do that. And I think now that I know what I can handle and how I also need to distance myself in some, like anybody who DM'd me, I was like, great. hit me up in the Discord because you're going to get lost in my DMs.
Yeah.
Now that I know that,
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I think I could do it. I think I have it in me to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that you don't have, I mean, I hope that, I don't want to sound mean about this, but please don't like make this the standard of expectation of, because this was incredible. And I'm not saying that it's not like a once in a lifetime thing, but I can see as a reflection that you're like, I have to do this the same way, otherwise it's going to flop. And so I
think because it's not like a pressing matter, right? Like Pride Month, it's like, great. Of course I want to be doing charity for something queer related as a queer person in a very queer space with a very large queer viewership. It goes hand in hand, correct? This was like, hey, this is happening in 2 weeks and we got to do it now. I literally, like, my friends and family, I was like, see you in a couple weeks. I literally would wake up at like 7 a.m. And would work at my computer until I had to leave for work at 10. And then I would, in between clients at the salon, be answering questions. The second I got home from the salon, I would work until 2 a.m. I mean, I did that for 2 weeks.
Without caffeine?
Literally, I'm a mad woman. But like, it took up all of my space. My partner, who's like the sweetest person in the world, was like, let me know if you need anything and I'm going to just leave you alone for 2 weeks, you know? It was great. It was like, my family was so supportive. My friends were supportive. My clients were supportive. My community was supportive. I mean, I'm very active with my Twitch community, and like, I was not as active in my personal Twitch community Discord. And I would like every once in a while be like, I love you guys. I'm sorry I haven't been very like busy in here. And they were like, no, we love what you're doing. Like, keep working on that. Like, this is amazing. So I'm really thankful for like my own Twitch moderators. They really like stepped up and did so much and helped organize so much as well. Like, I just have the best moderators. I just like have to brag. Like, I have really great Twitch moderators. Like, they just do the most. They be out there helping so much. And so I'm just like, I have an overwhelmingly sense of gratitude towards this whole thing. It's just been really cool.
And the other thing too is that I've met content creators that I've never even seen before, just because like I'm pretty niche with Animal Crossing and art sometimes and other cozy games on YouTube. So getting to meet like 300 new friends is really great. So
and it was cute to see them all making friends.
Yeah.
Like, it was cute. Now I've seen them like doing little like co-streams together and stuff. And I'm like, I helped foster this, you know, like, it's just so cute and I love it. And yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah,
it's just really cool.
It really is.
People loving people.
Yeah, which is really what we should be doing anyway. So
I like what I was saying, people loving people. I find it a little bit comical that it's like predominantly religious people who feel the need to like be obsessed with sexuality and gender expression. Like, in such a hateful way, when it's like, bro, isn't your whole deal that you're supposed to be loving people? Like, it's not supposed to be your whole deal. Like, isn't your whole thing that you're supposed to love people? Like, I'm just a little bit confused. And so it's like seeing such a group of people come together and be like, hey, we're not here for the hate. We're here for the love, and we're going to love. And it was just like a big snowball of love.
Yeah. I was riding that high truly for like a week, going, wow. It was incredible. And just watching people just be so excited to participate in general was an amazing moment. So like, Valerie, thank you for inviting me to participate and inviting people to share in this moment. And we are nearing the end of the interview. I could talk to you for hours, but
same. I love to talk. I'm a hairdresser. That's what I do for a living. Hello? And I'm a streamer. That's what I do for my living. I talk all day, every day.
So we are getting to the end of the interview. How can we aggressively promote and support you as a person?
Me as a person?
I know.
What do you mean?
Like your links, the play.
You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/TotaroBabe, or on Twitter. I be doing all the hot takes, all the fluff, all the floof on the tweets. That's where I normally am. I'm just like talking shit on Twitter in a lovingly way. And I'm live on Twitch every Sunday, Tuesday, Friday at 5 p.m. PST. We have a lot of fun over there. Like I said, I'll be Guy Fieri tomorrow. That was from the charity event that we raised like $5,000 my community, and I was like pretty surprised at that. And yeah, they smashed all the goals. I didn't think I was going to be doing a Guy Fieri cosplay, but we're heading to Flavortown tomorrow.
So how are you doing that? Because his hair is very unique. And oh no, do you have a wig? You do not.
Yeah.
You have a wig?
Listen. Some things in life are just meant to be. I also have the facial hair, we're going to be doing the whole thing. The sunglasses aren't in here. I need to get new sunglasses.
Oh my God.
He always wears the sunglasses. My dad probably has some I can borrow. And I've got the flame shirt. I've got the whole thing. Have you not seen my worm cosplay?
No.
Oh, I did a cosplay as the little blue worm from the labyrinth, and I wore a bald cap, and I created like the 3 blue little like wigs, and I love doing a weird cosplay.
Oh no, like don't get me wrong, I love a weird cosplay too. I'm trying to imagine you with the blonde hair, because like you have this beautiful, I don't know what the color is. It looks rose gold to me, kind of. Yeah.
It changes every day,
Yeah. And so I'm just like the short, spiky 2000s bleach tips. I will.
It's gonna be a look. It's gonna be the moment. I'm ready for the runway.
Oh, I'm sure that Guy Fieri will be feeling very upset that he is not the Guy Fieri.
I'll be tweeting him.
You should.
I'll be tweeting
Absolutely.
him. Don't you worry about that. Yeah. No, but aggressively supporting me just means showing up and hanging out.
Awesome.
I just like to vibe with people. I'm here for the vibes.
So, friends, I will be putting Valerie's links in the description below, including where you can buy the Gamers for Trans Rights merch. That's still live for a couple of weeks, as you said.
And the donation link as well.
And the donation. Okay, then I will be sure to do that. But friends, thank you so much for watching. Valerie, thank you so much for your time, your presence, for doing this. It was an incredible interview. And we'll catch you next time, friends. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye.